Hey YouTubers, and welcome to another episode here on ESGNet, Madden 17, Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. This is Steeler Nation, episode number 3, and we are taking a look here at weeks 9 through 12 of this NFL season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Take a look at the latest injury reports here, and there you see some of the names that have been on there for the last couple of weeks now. Of course, the Steelers going into week 13 with a 11-0 record, and of course they're getting ready for the Giants here coming up. But before we get to all that, we'll take a look here around the league at some of the injuries. But we're going to talk about a lot of things that are going on with this team. Now, these last 4 weeks have been kind of just a crazy week for us, as well, let's be honest, the defense is not great at all. We'll show you guys more of that, the numbers wise and whatnot. But the defense right now for the Steelers has just not been there for the most part for a lot of weeks here. Give up quite a bit of points here, and that is something that honestly, me as a Madden player, not used to giving up so many points. We've had a lot of close games here. We've had some games that come down to the wire. Just like I believe, I want to say it was the Cowboys game there that we had. That one was really going down to the wire here. But our secondary is something that right now that we just need to be working on here. And I think here coming up after this episode, there are going to be quite a few changes here. We're going to really do some work here when it comes to the corners, or actually really the safeties here. Safeties have not been playing as well had they had been here at the beginning of the year. Now, at the beginning of the year, I can understand, yeah, we're getting into some works here, and of course, we don't have all the guys that we normally would have because of injury, and a lot of those guys are coming back. Le'Veon Bell, of course, our running game has been hurting us here as a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, Williams has been stepping up here, and there's been a few games here he's been doing a really great job there, executing the plays. But it's just something about having that feature back that, like Le'Veon Bell, that's what's been hurting us the most when it comes to our running game there. Of course, it doesn't help too much when you got a couple guys on the offensive line there that just will not block, and we've been trying to work on blocking here during practice and just trying to build them up on being better blockers. That is something that hopefully after next week we don't have to worry about too much. I think a lot of the guys there really miss Le'Veon Bell. They don't have that explosive back there, and that's been pretty much the story of our season so far, besides the issues that we have on defense. So like I said, we'll work on that here. I really believe that it's two things. It's our safeties, and really when it gets down to it, it's going to be the meat and potatoes of the defense, that being the defensive line. So defensive line definitely going to have to be revamped and really taken over. I think in the last episode there, episode 12, I think I mentioned that we may be moving to a 4-3 defense instead of the 3-4 that we're currently in, because I don't know, just years past I've always felt comfortable with a 4-3. I did that with I kind of did that with the Green Bay Packers franchise there in last year's game. I kind of went back and forth between 3-4 and 4-3. Depending on the teams we were playing against, so that may be something I may end up bringing back here for the remainder of this series here, depending on if we can do better. If we do better with a 4-3 than a 3-4, then our defense will be that. That will definitely take away from the linebackers that we have, but with the new the new sliders that I've been working on with the auto sub and stuff like that, they should be subbing out a lot more in and out when it comes to that position. I did that for them, and I believe for the excuse me, for the defensive line. We're going to be subbing out guys a lot more often, so we don't have the same guys out there struggling. That also gives guys with the backups a little bit more experience, and they can get that XP that we need to make them even better for years to come, especially if they're with the team for long-term reasons. So that's definitely something we're going to have to be looking at here when we get into these last 5 games and potentially going to the playoffs here. So that'll be something that we'll be looking at a little bit more often, and just be tinkering with that in a couple of the games there. Now, Le'Veon Bell will be coming back next week. We had an opportunity to have him start this week, but we decided to wait a week because he was not really 100%. Doctors say he gave him okay, but as a coaching staff and as a team, we decided not to bring him back too early. We want to see what he does next week for us. So next week in episode 13 there, against the Giants, we'll see him in action once again. Now, we have not seen him in action since week 4. Now, remember, he had a 3-game suspension there. So the first 3 weeks of the season, he was unable to play. And then finally in the 4th week, he was able to, he originally had a 4-game suspension, but it was reduced down to 3. So he was able to come back during that Chiefs game, and we brought him back. Excuse me. I had a great game against them. But then I believe it was 2 weeks later he got injured again, and that's when he had that broken collarbone, and he was going to be out for several more weeks. So enough to get us back, enough to come back here before the playoffs happen, which is a good thing because his legs are still fresh, so he won't have the wear and tear that he would have if he was playing all those weeks there. So the 6 or 7 weeks that he was been out. So that's good for us because that means fresh legs, and that means we'll be able to utilize him a little bit more when it comes to the running game and whatnot. Really, just really stretch out those defensive teams there when it comes to the run. All right, take a look here at the current standings right now. 11-0 for us. Bengals 8-3 there in the division. There you see the AFC South. Colts, they lose that one at 6-5 now. Now you see the Jaguars right there behind them, and along with the Texans there. So they got a 3-team first place there that they're gonna have to try to decide here. Patriots 8-3. Well, that's definitely a team that we're gonna be focusing on here when we get to the playoffs. If we can make it that far, that's going to definitely be somebody we're going to have to worry about. Chargers and Chiefs 7-4 there in the AFC West, looking very good there. Back and forth battle between those two teams. Always a rivalry out there. In the NFC North, there you see the Vikings 8-3, Lions up there at 6-5, Packers 4-7, along with the Bears. The Bears really having a tough time this year. There in the NFC South. 8-3 Falcons, 7-4 Saints, 5-6 Panthers, and 2-9 Bucks. Now the Giants coming in this week 7-4, Cowboys right behind them 6-5, Redskins 5-6, and Eagles 4-7. So Giants would love to have that victory against us. That will put them definitely in first place there alone, especially if the Cowboys can pick up another loss. They're in the NFC West. Seahawks 7-4, Rams 6-5, 49ers 5-6, and the Cardinals 4-7. Take a look here at the transactions. These are some of the guys that we've recently just released here from the team. They're back in week 10. There you see Steven Johnson, Xavier Grimble, Roosevelt Nix, which he had there was some with that situation with the fullback. He had some good things there, but we just when it comes to the running block, it was horrible. So we decided to keep, I believe, Johnson there. He's the better guy. So because we had two fullbacks there, I decided he had a better overall, and just overall, or just when it comes to just blocking wise, he was better at it. So we decided to keep him around, and we just went ahead and just got rid of Nix. Take a look there at some of the top players there in weeks 9 through 12. There you see Roethlisberger. He had, I believe, 2 weeks in a row there. He won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So congrats to him on that. And Ben, like I said, to be quite honest, Ben has been pretty much our guy. He's been kind of quiet. He hasn't got too much press about it, but he's pretty much our MVP this season. They're just really stepping up. Even though our running game, we've kind of deserted it. He's been really doing a good job there of doing some work for us. Excuse me. Now, look at some of the players that we did re-sign. LG Fort here back in week 9. We went ahead and re-signed him to a 2-year contract. Overall, there you see some of his overalls there. I like him. He's a balanced linebacker there. And that's definitely a guy that we're going to have fun with years to come here. 72 overall from Northern Iowa. We're going to go ahead and give him about $6.7 million. He decides, yep, he's going to go ahead and take it. And, I don't think he signs just yet, but that's something he's getting close to. We're getting close to resign. We do finally resign him. Cody Wallace there, we resigned him to a contract. Now, Roosevelt Nix. You see there back in week 10 we signed him, or we released him, but this is back in week 9. It's a week before we decided to cut him loose. We really trying to work with him as much as possible, but he was wanting too much, and just his numbers just didn't reflect really what he was actually capable of doing. So we go ahead and decide, you know what, let's just go ahead and re-sign him to a contract. It'll be a practice squad contract, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now, take a look here at the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game. 30-23 is your final score back in week 9. Take a look at some of the numbers there from that game. Pretty fun game there. As for Baltimore there, Baltimore had a really good start there. Of course, second half we were able to be up by 4. And then the third quarter we really just we were able to score 10 points in there. And then just really hold off Baltimore as much as possible. Flacco there didn't score any touchdowns, didn't have any interceptions, but did throw to 247 yards there for the game. He was 21 of 32, 65% of his passes completed. For Roethlisberger, 312, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Had an excellent game through 80% of his passes, 21 of 26. Terrence West was a guy that we just could not get a handle on. 10 carries for 106 yards, 1 touchdown there from him, 5.9 yards a carry. Now take a look at our carries there for Williams. Yeah, dismal. 25 carries for 43 yards and a little over a yard and a half for him in that game. Marcus Whedon there had a great game. 6 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. Another guy that had a great game but just couldn't get in the end zone. That was Green. As for Antonio Brown, 3 receptions, close to a century mark there. He had 2 touchdowns there for him in that game. Was just excellent having him there. And I forget to utilize him a lot more often. And we're going to try to do that more here in this last 4 or 5 games here this season. But for the most part, we had a great game there defensively. We were able to shut them down and just keep them quiet there when we went into the fourth quarter. I think we only gave up 3 points in the whole fourth quarter against them. All right, now let's go to take a look at week 10. And in week 10, this is what it looked like here for us. Went against the Cowboys at home. 4-4 Cowboys against 8-0 us. And, a big game here. Tony Romo now. I know a lot of people have been wondering, okay, why is Dex not playing the game, whatever. Well, this was the rosters before he began, playing as the as a starter here. So Tony Romo is still your quarterback here now. We'll take a look here at LJ Fort again. We do resign, like I said, we do resign him there. He is resigned to a 1-year contract there on that one. We'll see Cody Wallace again. We'll see there. He decides to take that contract instead. So we're able to do some good there. We re-sign those 2 guys. Now Steven Johnson, we go ahead and I said we withdraw from him. We decided to end negotiations with him because we don't see him really coming back for next season. Didn't like his numbers. Ricardo Matthews, there you see his numbers. And we decided to go ahead and get him in there in the mix. And there you see a 6-year player from Cincinnati. And there you see he's happy to re-sign there from us. Now, Xavier Grimble, we go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and cut him like I mentioned there. Try to free up some space in cap. And we do so. And again, we do the same thing with Nix as we're able to get back that $1.5 million there in cap. And we decided to go ahead and let him go. Even though we don't like, there's some numbers there I just didn't really care for him. And just decided that it was best to just get rid of him and cut him now instead of later on. And then our free safety or strong safety there, 66 overall, that's just not going to cut it for us. So we decided to go ahead and let him go and let him be on his way. So Tony Romo, there you see 349 yards, 2 touchdowns, completed 74% of his passes, 364 yards for Ben Roethlisberger, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 61% of his passes were complete. D'Angelo Williams, 17 carries for 73 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 21 attempts for 8 yards. Yeah, bad game for him, indeed. Again, remember this is not. These are for week 1 statistics or week 1 overalls the rosters I got. So it's not going to be the Zeke Elliott that we know and love currently right now in real football. But there you see Martavis Bryant there, 3 receptions, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Green, 3 receptions, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. And really, truly, this was it was a fun game, and we were able to defeat them in that game. Unfortunately, I think I mentioned in that video, I had some bad video footage or whatever from the first quarter, so we wasn't able to show the first quarter and how they scored. But that first drive alone, that just deep pass that Romo gave, that was just more enough right there. Told me like, okay, this is going to be a serious game for us, and we're gonna have to, we're definitely gonna have to put our nose, down and go after them. So now we go into week 11. And after defeating the Cowboys, we take on the Browns there in Cleveland at First Energy Stadium. 9-0 going against a 2-8 team. And, of course, we got some signings here to deal with. We got Bruce Granowski there, the third-string quarterback here. We're going to go ahead and see if we can re-sign him. Now, he is a 70 overall, but his contract is not going to be a big issue with us. As we'll take a look here and see if we can sign him. Now, at one point I was thinking, I was like, okay, if we can't re-sign him, then we may not even go after him. B.J. Finley, a former Kansas State guy, there you see his numbers there. We decided originally Finley was not going to be re-signed, but then doing some moving around, because I actually did a lot of moving guys around. Trying to see what position they were. I could put them at they were better in than the position they were currently in, and so we decided to move BJ around. I think he was a tackle, and now we moved him to a center, and so we're going to try to work on him on being a future center for us. Now, 38-19 is the score against Cleveland. Cleveland had a great first half there, but of course in classic Cleveland. Debauchery. Second half was not too pretty for them as they gave up 14 points there in the third quarter and then an additional 7 there towards the end. 3 touchdowns for Ben Roethlisberger, 15 and 18, 83% passes completed, 339 yards. Cody Kessler definitely just had me on my heels through the game there for quite a while there, especially in that first half. There you see 301 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions there from him. Williams, 31 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. That was a great game there for Williams. We actually had a decent running game. Cromwell there, 18 carries, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. He had a great game. Corey Coleman, no touchdowns, but 7 receptions for 70 yards. Whedon, 174 yards, 6 receptions, 1 touchdown. Whedon definitely had a breakout game there. Definitely came alive. Bryant, 3 receptions, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Antonio Brown, 2 receptions, 16 yards, 1 touchdown for him. Great day for receiving core, but especially I was so happy with our running game. We really were able to just run down the field, really wear out the Browns. It is the Browns. It's a good win, an easy win, but that was something I was really hoping that would open the door here for the next week here coming up for the running game. Gives some confidence there to the offensive line and to the backs going into that game. So, that's something. Even though, like I said, it was an easy win. It was a team like the Browns that don't have the best rushing defense, but that was enough for us to get a victory there, and hopefully, just build onto that and go into the next week. So we go into week 12, and we take a look here at a 6-4 Colts, and of course we are 10-0 going into today's game. We had a big decision to make. Do we start Le'Veon Bell or do we don't? And I decided to go ahead and say no, we're not going to start Bell, even though he is clear to play, but he's not 100%. Getting some, from talking to the trainers and the doctors there for the Steelers, we decided as an organization that we're not going to start Bell. He'll come back next week, and so that's what we'll do. We'll see him there against the Giants there coming up in episode 13. So as for B.J. Finley, he will get re-signed there. He does not get re-signed. He actually again decides to hold out for us. Chris Hubbard, right or left tackle there. We've been thinking about moving him to right tackle because it looked like his numbers are a little bit better. But we go ahead and re-sign, or we go ahead and offer him a contract. He does not re-sign. He wants something better, so we'll try to work with him coming up here in the next week. Bruce again we go another temp for here. And I just come out and say, okay, this is what we're going to offer you. If you don't take the $5 million, we're just not going to offer you anything. He decides, yep, I'm going to go ahead and take it, and he is now still employed. David Cobb, the third-string halfback here, we'll see him. There you see some of the offers he may want to make, and we decided to go ahead and just sign him to a practice squad contract there. So he'll still be on the team. We can move him up to the main roster where we need him. But for right now, he's going to be our back. He's going to be the backup to the backup going into the next, at least after this game here. But there you see the final score, 38-21 there. Ben Roethlisberger, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. For Luck, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 395 yards. He completed 83% of his passes. He had a great game there against Dorsett, especially that first drive there, really getting down the field there and doing a great job. Now, for running-wise for us, not so great. 21 of 43 yards, 1 rushing touchdown for Williams. As for Charles Sims there, he had a okay game there. We were able to stop him. Now, Dorsett, 6 receptions, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game from him. What can you say? Well-deserved. He was open, and why not take advantage of a defensive secondary like we have right now. I mean, if that was us and we were doing, we were able to do that to other teams, we would, manipulate that as much as possible. So, again, that's something we're going to have to work on here going into these last 5 games of the season. But there you see Tuitt. He had a sack and a half. Hayward had a sack. James Harrison had a sack. Hargrove had a sack. I should say Harrison had a half a sack there. And then you see some of the interceptions there. We had Golden. He had that punt block there that he ran back and took for 6, which was nice to see that happening. I think that's what we're going to try to show here. I think I'm looking for that category. But, yeah, he had that defensive touchdown. So did Burns. He had that pick 6 that he took back. So a nice job there for defensively, both defensively and from the special teams there. Doing a great job there to be able to score. All right, so Chris Hubbard, there you see again, we're trying to re-sign a couple other guys here. I believe now this is showing going to the week 13. BJ there again. We'll try to re-sign him, and I think we actually do re-sign him for a 2-year. We actually put on another year there, and about another $1 million or $2 from our from the last offer that we made to him, and we go ahead. I think we re-sign him, which is going to be good because he'll be our. I think he'll be our second string center there, and yes, he does re-sign there. So nice job for that. And Landry Jones, there you see him, the second string quarterback out from Oklahoma. Of course, that's some guy we're going to be working on with him for years to come because he's our next guy in line, per se, when Roethlisberger does decide to call it quits. That's the guy that we're going to try to be working on as much as possible. But there you see, he goes ahead and re-signs on that one. So, before we go here, we'll take a look here at some of the stats here for the season so far. 4,573 yards for Roethlisberger, 38 touchdowns, 14 interceptions there for him. 10 rushing touchdowns for DeAngelo Williams, 622 yards there total for him with 216 attempts. You see Le'Veon Bell's numbers. Of course, like I said, he's only been in, 3 games for the season so far. So, yeah, still, his numbers are bad. But, overall, I think he's going to be really ready to go here in these next 5 weeks here coming up to finish out the season. He should be, he'll be, in really good shape. His legs will still be intact and whatnot. And, once we get to the playoffs, that'll just be even better. Excuse me, for us overall. When it comes to the running game there, we can really just really go right at a lot of the defenses there with him with the run. Take a look at some of the blocking there and some of the guys that allowed some sacks this season. That's unfortunate, but that comes with the territory. You got to give up something sometimes, and at least they're not in double-digit numbers there in that situation. Defensively, there you see some of the tackles there. Ryan Shazier there, 24 tackles there from him for the season to wit. There you see 40 for him. And then, of course, goes down the line there for everybody else. Tackles for loss here, we'll see here in just a bit, hopefully, as we go ahead and move to the next category. And again, Shazier leads that with 32. Harrison just has almost close to half of that. He has 14 there for the season with 5.5 sacks. Ryan Shazier actually has 8.5 sacks there for the season. I think he might have the most so far for the ball club. But we'll see here as we go down the line. Defensively, like I said, it's been a tough year for us defensively. And, again, I'm hoping that will turn around here as we get, to the playoffs here. Because, if we don't have a defense going to the playoffs here, it's going to be a tough road for us. If it's, a lot of these games that we've had, we've we've been down or we haven't really scored. If we're down by a possession or two in the third quarter, they're really going to do a good job here of taking advantage of us because we got to fight back, pushing the ball down the field. That means there's going to be a lot of pass plays, not too much running, and that's going to be that's just feeding a lot of these corners and safeties that are out there that can keep a watchful eye on the quarterback and pick us off. So that is something we want to try to avoid. Again, also too, our defense is on the field way too much. We've lost the possession game here way too often, and that's going to have to be flipped for us. We're going to have to really try to, avoid that and really keep their defense out there on the field as much as possible, as we were doing during the first half of the season. The second half of the season has been kind of just not there and really bogging us down. So we're going to have to really change that here coming up as we get closer to playoff time. So things are going to have to change. I know, talking to Mike in the weekly press conference, that everything I've been saying so far, this is what he's been telling us, and he really thinks things are going to have to change. Week 13, there's going to have to be a changing of the guard, as he put it. There's going to have to be change, and there are going to be some drastic changes here. If things don't change, then a lot of people will not be seeing too much playing time here. So, he knows there's a lot on the line here. If losses come up, and eventually there will be a loss, for too long here, because they've been on borrowed time with their defense here, and offense has been kind of pulling them out of games here and getting down the field, and there's been one or two couple guys there on defense that's been making some turnovers there to really help out the offense and to really get the ball back in their hands, and to go down the field as quickly as possible to score, and then just to keep the defense afloat. So he says they were on borrowed time, and he strongly says that and believes that, and he knows that there is going to be a day where they are going to be, that they won't be able to get themselves out of it, and he'd rather see them do that now than the postseason, and then have that happen, and then end up having a great season and then getting booted out, at some point in the postseason. He doesn't want to see that happen. So there you see the remaining schedule there. You see we got a home game against the Giants, and we got 2 games there against the Bills and the Bengals away. And then the last 2 home games are there against the Ravens and Browns. So there you take a look at Week 13. Again, Week 13, 7-4 Giants coming in town against the 11-0 Steelers coming up here in the next episode. So that is it for Steeler Nation this week. You guys want to take a look at all the stats and stuff, go back and check out the video there and check all those stats. I know I didn't get to everything, but for the most part, like I said, these key things. So we're got to work on the secondary. We got to make free safeties and safeties better. I would even say we put corners in that position there. Defensive line needs to be a lot more better, be more aggressive, and really put more pressure on the quarterback and also on the offensive line. And then last but not least is our running game. We got Bell coming back. Le'Veon Bell needs to play a better game here coming up and really, just show the team that he is ready to go with fresh legs and whatnot, and that'll really help us out here going into these last 5 games of the season. So other than that, I mean, those are the things we really need to work on here coming up, and we'll see if we can do those things here coming up in Week 13. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pittsburgh Steelers franchise here, and for more Steeler Nation here as we get ready for the last 5 weeks of the season. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. The links are down below in the description. As always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.